Peace, y'all. And I say peace early because I might say something that might offend some of y'all, but that's okay. But I don't want no beef, so I'm telling y'all peace early. I'm telling y'all peace right now. I don't want no beef. But before I get into that type of stuff, I do want to discuss something that I had some requests to speak about, and that was how to deal with losses. And that's important because if you're a competitor, you're going to want to know how to deal with losses in MMA or grappling or whatever have you. Now, first day is tough, but first thing I want to say is if you're afraid to lose and you fear losing, I want to say this to you. Who in the hell do you think you are that you could just go off into this sport and never lose? It's not going to happen. You compete long enough, you compete against the right guys, you're going to lose, especially in MMA. There's so many different ways to lose. You can get knocked out, you can get choked out, you get caught in some stupid submission that you normally wouldn't get caught in, and guess what? The game is over. This game, it's not like football where you got 4 quarters to play. This game can be determined by one touchdown, the first touchdown. You get caught with that one shot, the game is over. So yes, if you compete long enough and against the right people, you're going to lose. You got to learn how to deal with that. Now, what I'm going to say, the most important thing with dealing with that is you have to love the game. If you got in this game because you wanted to impress some girls, you wanted to impress your family, you wanted to show all them girls in high school that they made a mistake of, turning their eye to you, if that's why you got in this game, let me tell you, give you a hint. Tell you something now. If that's why you got in this game, get out now. This ain't for you. This ain't for you. This ain't a game for you. You need to get out now. You have to love the process. It's all about the process. You're talking about a man who's competed professionally for 15 years. The wins and losses, I look back, it don't even matter. None of that stuff matters to me right now. What matters to me was the experience, the process, going through the whole thing, going through camp, going to these foreign places, fighting, throwing down, scrapping, winning, losing, all of it, the memories. That's what's going to be the most important thing for you. You got to love the process and the journey. But if you're just so concerned about winning and losing, guess what? You're not going to enjoy the process. You can't be concerned with that. You got to be able to enjoy the process. So I'm telling you, if you're concerned about losing so much, you're doing yourself a disservice. You are not fully engaged in enjoying each moment of the process. And that's what you're going to remember the most. That's what you're going to cherish when your time is up. Now, one thing I don't like when people say is, oh, when you lose, there's lessons to be learned. I don't fully like that because that almost gives the assumption that there's not lessons to be learned when you win. However, the lessons are a lot more apparent when you lose because you paid the price for your mistakes. Sometimes you don't pay the price for your mistakes when you win. Now, what you must always do, no matter what you're doing, this goes for an everyday thing, or especially in competition, or when there's stakes on the line, you have to pay attention to the lessons to be learned. Whether you win or whether you lose, there's always something that you could have learned. There's always something that you could get better at. But again, we often go, oh, you don't win, if you either win or you learn. No, you should always learn. Whether you win, look back at your performance, see what you did wrong, see what you could have cleaned up. If you lose, the mistake was there because you learned the hard way. And sometimes it's better to learn the hard way. I tell you right now, when it comes to Tyron Woodley, he's a better fighter because of his losses. If he didn't go through them losses with Nate Marquardt, Jake Shields, and Rory McDonald, he might not be who he is today. Those losses helped him. He'd be the first one to tell you that. So understand, if you lose, yeah, you're going to be sad and you're going to want to cry and you done let a lot of people down, but you got to get over that. That's part of the process. That's part of the process. It should make you stronger. You need to be able to build from that. But learn the lesson that it was trying to tell you and make sure you accurately assess the lesson. Don't be like, oh, I just needed to train harder, because that might not be the case. You might have trained hard enough. You might be doing something wrong in your training. You might be training too hard. So you have to have somebody qualified, or at least know yourself enough to know what you need in order to get better and improve after losses. But don't be afraid of losses. Embrace them. welcome them with open arms. I mean, you don't want to lose. Obviously, you don't want to lose. But when they come, you got to open the door like, what up? Come on in. Tell me what you need to tell me so that later I can be better. That's what it is. When you get a loss, let it tell you what it needs to tell you so that you could be better later. Now, if you was, like I said, the first sign that tells me that somebody ain't in this game for the right reason, because they're afraid to lose, and when they lose, they want to quit. That means you don't need to be in this anyway. If you want to quit after a loss, get the hell out now, because I don't want to deal with you anyway. I only want to deal with winners, and winners are going to lose sometimes. I got to tell you that. Now what I want to talk about is Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. We are 1 week away from that fight. Everybody's talking about it, and I want to give my 2 cents. First, I'm going to state the obvious. The obvious is what everybody knows. If this fight stays standing up, Conor wins. If it goes to the ground, Khabib wins. That's what everybody says. Yes, they have their advantages in those areas. Way more than what we see that's apparent in the other competitor. Now, those are 2 very important things that we have to discuss, because I think sometimes people get it wrong. I think people are just like, you know, Conor McGregor just has to hit him 1 time and it's over. And we know that's not true. I know that's not true, because Conor McGregor is not a power puncher. And I said this before, and all his fans jumped on me. Conor McGregor, I didn't say he doesn't have power. I'm not saying he doesn't have power. What I'm saying is he's not a power puncher. There's a big difference between a power puncher and not having power. Conor McGregor has power, but he's not a power puncher. He's a sharp puncher. He's a sharp shooter. He lines you up, he measures you, and he lines you up, measures you, and he precisely hits you where he wants to hit you. That's a big difference between a power puncher. A power puncher, and we all saw the whole incident between Conor McGregor and Jeremy Stephens, when Jeremy Stephens said, "Oh, you know, it takes you a couple shots to put people out. I put people out. I hit people and they don't move." He's right. Jeremy Stephens is a power puncher. He's a power puncher. He's not necessarily a precise sharpshooter like Conor. He's a power puncher, but Conor's not a power puncher. So we know this. Now, with that being said, that's an important detail in this fight. So, because Conor's not a power puncher, he's a sharpshooter, he's going to have to measure Khabib in order to hit him with that 1 shot to put him out. That's the real question. Can Conor measure Khabib enough to put him out? Can he manage the distance enough to put him out? And I think that's all going to come down to Conor's discipline, because we've seen him do it before. We've seen him do it against Eddie Alvarez. He was able to measure Eddie and hit him. Now, when Conor fought Chad Mendes, now everybody says, Chad only had a couple of weeks. Well, Conor only had a couple of weeks. But we saw Conor make some mistakes in striking that will put him down on the ground because he wasn't able to measure Chad Mendes the same like he did other guys. So I think it's more to it than just saying it's got to stay on the feet. Not only does it have to stay on the feet, but Conor also has to be able to measure Khabib and get Khabib in a position to where he can land that left hand effectively. It's not like Conor just got this magic left hand to touch people. Yes, he's heavy-handed. Yes, he possesses power. He has great technique in the way he throws punches when he wants to. And if he's disciplined enough to stay in that range, he could possibly hit Khabib with that shot. However, if he gets out of position, if he gets out of form, or Khabib doesn't give him what he wants on the feet, as far as that target, that stationary target, or Conor can't anticipate his movements to hit him with the left, or set him up and hit him with the left, Conor's going to have a lot of problems. Because we know how dominant of a grappler Khabib is. I mean, he's just not like your normal grappler. I mean, he's been doing this since a little kid, and he's the best. He's the best in breed of the Dagestani crew, of all them guys. Like, they all look up to him and what he does. So, yes, I think if Khabib is able to get Conor down, Conor's going to have a lot of problems, because Khabib's ground control is tremendous. And not only does he have great ground control, he grip fights better than any other grappler in the division, or probably in the UFC. His grip fighting is tremendous, to where he's able to grip fight, keep you down, and be able to punch you. And that's something we don't get from a lot of guys. A lot of guys aren't able to do that. Khabib is. So he's going to give Conor problems if he gets a hold of him. If he's able to wrap his hands around Conor, Conor won't get away from him. However, Conor has to do a good job of managing distance and not letting Khabib wrap his hands around him. Then also have Khabib make a mistake on the feet where Conor can measure that punch and hit him. I think those are the keys to the fight, in this fight. But Conor's crafty. He's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. It's interesting to see how John Kavanagh prepares Conor for the ground, because at some point you have to assume that he's going to get taken down. And will his jiu-jitsu be enough to at least, will his guard be enough to at least hold Khabib off till the end of the round? That's the question. That's what I think. That's the real question. Because at some point I do see him getting taken down, because Khabib may not be that target for Conor. However, it should be an interesting fight. I don't think it's going to be a good fight. I think the build-up's going to be good. The anticipation's going to be good. But it won't be a good fight. I think both of these guys are too strong in their areas to make it a good back-and-forth battle. I think that once one individual starts to get rolling in his area of expertise, the other one won't be able to keep up. And I see it being pretty lopsided. I think everybody knows that this is going to be a pretty lopsided fight. So with that being said, let me raise up. I'm going to catch up with y'all next week. And listen, if you don't like what I said about Conor, about him not being a power puncher, this is not up for debate. It's not up for discussion. If you got something to say about that, keep it to yourself, because I don't want to hear it. I don't want nobody messaging me telling me that I'm wrong about this, because I'm not wrong about this. I don't care what you say, so don't message me if you don't like it. Anyway, y'all, I'm out of here. Peace. Again.